babysitter called from upstairs, but we don't have a babysitter. The call came just after midnight. I was half asleep on the couch, the TV still flickering through a late-night rerun, when my phone buzzed. The number wasn't saved, just a local one I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something in me said to answer. Hello? Static. Then a voice, a woman's, calm but shaking slightly. Hi, it's me. I just wanted to let you know the kids are asleep. For a second, my brain didn't register what she'd said. The kids? Yeah, she replied, a faint laugh in her voice. They were up a bit later than usual, but they're out now. I figured I'd check in before I lock up. My stomach tightened. Who is this? It's the babysitter. I sat up slowly. The TV flickered against the empty living room. I was alone. I think you have the wrong number, I said carefully. No, this is Mr. Carter, right? Yes, but... Good, she interrupted, sounding relieved. I didn't want to bother you if it wasn't important. Her tone changed. The casualness dropped away. There's someone upstairs. We didn't have a babysitter. We didn't have kids. My house was quiet, too quiet. But I could hear the faint creak of floorboards above me, like someone pacing. Who is this? I repeated, standing now, my hand tightening around the phone. Please tell me you're joking, she whispered. You said you'd be back before midnight. There's someone in your daughter's room. I felt every muscle in my body lock up. Listen, I don't have a daughter. Silence. Mr. Carter? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Oh God, he's coming back. The line went dead. For a long time, I just stood there listening to the creak of the house settling. It was probably just in my head, some leftover echo from her voice. But then I heard it again. A step. Slow. Heavy. Coming from the upstairs hallway. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, a fireplace poker, and crept toward the stairs. The air felt colder near the base of the steps, the way it does before a storm. The second step groaned under my weight. Hello, I called, trying to sound steady. Nothing. Another step. The light from the living room didn't quite reach the top landing, and the darkness up there felt thick, almost solid. I reached for the switch, but when I flipped it, the bulb flickered once and went out. Perfect, I muttered. Then the phone rang again. Same number. I answered it on the second ring. Whoever this is, you need to stop. Breathing. Fast, shallow, terrified. He's in the room. Where are you? I demanded. The hallway. He's standing by the door. The line crackled. He's looking at me. I swallowed hard. Listen to me. You need to get out of the house. Do you understand? Go downstairs. Now. I can't. He'll hear me. Who? Who's there? He's wearing your face. The words hit like a punch. My legs went cold. What did you just say? He looks exactly like you. The connection dropped again. The stairs behind me creaked. I froze. The sound came from the top landing this time. Slow, deliberate steps moving away from the bedrooms toward the stairs. I raised the poker, heart hammering, trying to see through the dark. Who's there? No answer. Then, faintly, from the top of the stairs, I heard my own voice. You shouldn't be here. Every hair on my neck stood up. The shape that moved into view was just a shadow at first. The outline of a man, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the same slow gait I'd seen in the mirror my whole life. For a heartbeat, I thought it was a reflection. But reflections don't breathe. Go back downstairs, it said, my voice again. Perfect. I took a step back. What do you want? It tilted its head just slightly, like it was studying me. She's gone. Who? The babysitter. My phone buzzed in my hand. New message, unknown number. I glanced down. Photo received. It was my living room, taken from the stairs. I looked up. The figure was gone. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the car with the engine running until dawn, doors locked, lights on, staring at the house. Nothing moved inside. When the sun came up, I went back in. The air smelled faintly of metal, like pennies and static. Upstairs, every door stood open. My bedroom, the guest room, the office, all empty, except for the last door, the one that led to the attic ladder. The hatch was down. A faint trail of dust on the floor led right to it, and at the base of the ladder sat a phone, old, cordless, its plastic cracked and yellowed with age. The screen glowed faintly. One new voicemail. I pressed play. "Mr. Carter," the woman's voice whispered. "I got the kids out, but he's still upstairs. Whatever you do, don't look up." Something above the ladder creaked. Dust drifted down, and in the faint reflection on the phone's screen, I saw a face leaning out of the darkness above me. My face. The face vanished as soon as I looked up. The hatch swung slowly shut on its own, the faint scrape of wood on wood echoing through the hallway. I stumbled back, phone still in hand, my pulse hammering so hard it drowned out every other sound. For a long time, I just stared at the ceiling, waiting for movement. Nothing. The silence pressed close. The old phone in my hand buzzed again. One new message. I hit play before I could stop myself. "Don't let him close the door." I looked up. The attic hatch was now sealed tight. A soft click sounded behind me. The bedroom door had swung shut. Then the next one, and the next. One by one, every door in the hallway closed, slow and deliberate, until only the bathroom light glowed faintly down the corridor. I moved toward it, because moving felt safer than standing still. My reflection met me in the mirror. Pale. Eyes wide. "Get it together," I whispered to myself. The light above the mirror flickered once. My reflection didn't. It kept staring, eyes locked on mine, even as the bulb blinked and died. I froze. The air smelled like dust and copper. Then my reflection smiled. I dropped the phone. It hit the tile with a crack, the screen flickering once before going black. From the hallway came another sound. A thud, heavy and dull, like footsteps dropping from the attic ladder to the floor. I pressed my back against the wall, breath shallow. Something was walking toward the bathroom. Slow, steady. I counted 3 steps before the door handle turned. I grabbed the edge of the shower curtain and tore it down, wrapping it around my arm, gripping the metal rod like a weapon. The door creaked open. For a moment, nothing, just shadow. Then I saw him, me, standing in the doorway, head tilted, a faint smile pulling at his mouth. His clothes were mine, his hands the same, but his skin looked gray, dry, like paper stretched too thin. "You shouldn't have come back," he said in my voice. "Who are you?" He blinked slowly. "The one who stayed." Before I could react, the lights burst back on. The reflection in the mirror flickered and changed. Now there were 2 of him, standing behind me in the glass, their mouths moving in sync. "Go back downstairs, Mr. Carter." I ran. The living room looked exactly as I'd left it, but every photo on the wall had changed. Every picture of me, graduation, birthdays, vacations, now showed him instead. His gray smile, his hollow eyes, the phone on the table, buzzed. My real phone this time. The number was mine, my own number calling me. I answered without thinking. "Stop running." "Where is she?" I demanded. "The babysitter, the woman who called me." "She's here." The voice wasn't quite mine now. It was layered, deeper, as if someone else was speaking through it. "She made the same mistake you did." "What mistake?" She looked up. A loud crash echoed from the hallway above. I spun toward the stairs just as the light at the top flickered. For a heartbeat, I saw her, the woman from the call. Standing there, barefoot, face half hidden by her hair. Then something yanked her backward into the dark. The light went out. I should have left. Any sane person would have left. But something in me, some sick, terrified curiosity, made me climb those stairs again. The hallway was colder now. My breath fogged the air. The attic hatch was open again, the ladder hanging down. On the 3rd step, I smelled it. That same metallic tang, stronger now, mixed with something sweet, rotten. The top of the ladder vanished into darkness. I raised my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam caught a face inches from mine. Not the gray one. Hers, the babysitter. Her eyes were wide, her mouth moving silently. Then, in a flash of light, I saw what she was pointing at. The far corner of the attic. A shape crouched there, knees bent backward, head tilted sideways like a broken marionette. It wore my clothes, my face. It smiled and whispered, perfectly in sync with my own thoughts. "We can't both be here." I lost my grip on the ladder and fell, hitting the floor hard enough to see white. The phone skittered across the hall, landing face up. The camera was still on, pointing at the ceiling. And in the live feed, the shape was crawling down the ladder, frame by frame, moving like it was learning how to walk. I didn't wait. I bolted downstairs, slammed the front door open, and ran into the street barefoot. The cold pavement bit into my skin, but I didn't stop until I was standing in the middle of the road, chest heaving. When I turned back, the house was dark again. The phone in my pocket buzzed once. New voicemail. I hit play. You can't leave until someone replaces you. I dropped the phone. It hit the ground, screen shattering. From the attic window, a light flicked on. And there, silhouetted perfectly in the glow, was me, staring down from above, holding a phone to my ear. I stood frozen in the middle of the street, staring up at the attic window. The figure, the other me, stood completely still in the light. Same face, same posture, same clothes. But his eyes caught the reflection of the street lamp and shimmered like two silver coins. For a moment, I thought he was staring past me, through me, but then he lifted one hand and waved. The movement was slow, deliberate, mocking. Then the attic light blinked out. Darkness swallowed the house. I didn't go back inside that night. I drove anywhere, everywhere, until the sky began to pale. When I finally pulled over, the clock read 6:11 a.m., and I was 3 towns away. I sat in a gas station parking lot, hands shaking, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. The phone on the passenger seat vibrated. It was my number again. For a long time, I just stared at it, watching the screen flash with my own name. Finally, I answered. You left the door open. My throat went dry. Who is this? You did. The line went dead. I threw the phone onto the dashboard. My reflection in the rearview mirror stared back, pale, hollow-eyed, unfamiliar. For a second, I thought I saw him, the other me, standing behind my shoulder in the glass. But when I turned, the back seat was empty. That was the first time I realized he wasn't tied to the house. He was tied to me. By noon, I'd checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town. One of those places where the carpet never dries and the air smells faintly of bleach. The clerk didn't ask for ID, just took my cash and slid me a key. I showered, changed into the spare clothes I kept in my trunk, and sat on the bed staring at the curtain seams like they might split open. At some point, I must have dozed off. When I woke, it was dark again. The motel clock flashed 2:46 a.m., the same time the babysitter first called. My phone buzzed. New message. No number. He's in the mirror. I turned slowly toward the bathroom. The door was open just a crack. Inside, I could see my reflection, still patient, waiting. I wasn't moving, but my reflection was. It smiled. Then, softly, I heard the faintest whisper, my own voice, coming from the glass. You can't hide from yourself. I grabbed my things and ran. Outside, the night was thick with fog. I sprinted to the car, threw my bag in, and slammed the door. The headlights cut through the mist, but it felt like the air itself was closing in. When I turned the key, the radio flicked on by itself. A woman's voice filled the car. The kids are asleep. I turned the radio off. The voice kept talking. But he's awake now. I ripped the radio fuse out of the dash. Silence. Then my phone buzzed again. One last voicemail. I didn't want to listen, but the notification wouldn't disappear. It pulsed faintly, the way a heartbeat does through skin. I hit play. The sound was faint at first, a child's laughter, then breathing, then my voice distorted, layered with another underneath. You can't run. We share the same walls now. Come home. The message ended with a click. In the rearview mirror, I saw headlights behind me, a car I didn't recognize idling a few yards back. The driver's face was hidden in the dark, but I could see a hand holding a phone, glowing faintly blue. My number. I floored the accelerator. The car behind me matched my speed. When I turned off onto a dirt road, its headlights followed. For miles, we raced through the fog until I finally veered into a wooded turnout and killed my lights. The other car stopped 100 feet ahead. Its engine idled. The driver door opened. I watched, heart slamming against my ribs, as a figure stepped out, tall, familiar. He turned toward my car and smiled. I don't remember deciding to get out. I just found myself standing on the road, gravel crunching under my feet. The fog made everything quiet, muffled. I was waiting by the other car, arms loose at his sides. Why me? I said. My voice came out thin, almost childish. He tilted his head. You answered. What are you? He stepped closer. The fog thinned enough for me to see his face, my face, but wrong. The eyes were deeper, the skin too pale, the corners of his mouth cracked like old paint. I'm the one who listens. I took a step back. Stay away from me. You called yourself Mr. Carter. I didn't. He smiled wider. Everyone does eventually. Then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled something out. A phone. Old, cordless, yellowed with age. The same one from my house. He pressed it to his ear. It's your turn to talk. Before I could move, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Incoming call. Me. The ringtone wasn't a normal one. It was the sound of footsteps on wood getting closer. Don't answer it, I whispered to myself. He raised his eyebrows, the way I do when I'm waiting for someone to give in. The ringing got louder. I pressed my hands over my ears, but the sound was inside my head now, vibrating in my teeth, my skull. Then, without meaning to, I pulled my phone out and answered. The other me vanished. The line hissed softly. Now you're listening. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my living room. Morning sunlight streamed through the window. Everything looked untouched, calm, normal, still. The photos on the wall showed me again, just me. For a moment, I thought maybe it was over. Then I heard it, faint, coming from upstairs. A woman's voice. The kids are asleep. I looked down. The old cordless phone sat on the coffee table, its screen glowing. The attic door creaked open above me, and from the top of the stairs came a voice that matched my own. You shouldn't have come back. The sound of my own voice echoing down the stairwell froze me in place. It wasn't a shout, not even a whisper, just a calm statement, quiet and familiar, like the start of a conversation I didn't remember beginning. I turned toward the stairs. The light from the window barely reached halfway up. The rest was shadow. Where are you? I called out. My voice cracked, thin and uncertain. Silence answered. Then the boards above me creaked, slow and rhythmic. One step, then another, until the weight of each one pressed into the air. I forced my feet to move, one hand gripping the banister, the other still holding the useless phone. Say something, I shouted. A pause. Then my own voice, calm and level. You said we'd finish this. The hallway at the top of the stairs looked unchanged. Doors open, sunlight falling through the curtains in thin gray strips, but the air was heavy, thick with the smell of dust and static, and the attic ladder was down again. I stood at the base of it, staring into the square of darkness above. The phone buzzed. New voicemail. I hit play. He's not above you anymore. The line clicked off. I looked down, just in time to see the shadow of bare feet move across the floor behind me. I spun, but the hallway was empty. The light from the window flickered as if something had passed in front of it. A whisper brushed the back of my neck. Don't look away. I didn't look away. I couldn't. My eyes followed the light as it dimmed, tracked the faint shimmer of movement along the wall until it reached the doorway to the spare room. Inside, something shifted, a shape standing just behind the curtains. I took a breath, stepped closer, and pulled the fabric aside. The babysitter stood there. Her hair was damp, her clothes torn, her eyes wide and unblinking. Who are you? I whispered. She didn't answer. Her lips moved, but the words didn't come out. Then she lifted her hand and pointed at the wall behind me. I turned. The wallpaper was peeling. Underneath it, written in what looked like ash, were 4 words. You answered the call. The floorboards creaked again, but not under me. Above, I looked up. The attic hatch was still open, and something was leaning over the edge. It wasn't a face this time. It was a hand. Long fingers, pale skin, nails too sharp. They curled around the edge of the hatch like someone pulling themselves down. I stumbled back, tripping over the babysitter. She grabbed my arm, nails digging into my skin. Her voice finally came out, cracked and raw. He's not done with you. We ran. Down the stairs, through the living room, out the front door. The air outside felt thick, humming with the same low static as the phones. Halfway down the street, I turned back. Every window in the house was glowing faintly, the same sick, pale light as before. And at the attic window, high, square, centered, stood him. Me. He watched us without moving, then slowly lifted one hand and pressed it against the glass. The babysitter grabbed my wrist. Don't look, she said, but I couldn't stop. I watched as his other hand appeared, holding a phone to his ear. My phone buzzed. Incoming call. Me. The babysitter shook her head. If you answer, he takes you back. I already answered, I said. We didn't stop running until we reached the edge of town, an old diner, neon flickering in the fog. The waitress didn't look up when we came in. She just nodded us to a booth. The babysitter sat opposite me, shaking. Up close, she looked younger than I'd imagined, maybe 19, 20 at most. There was a bruise on her neck, a cut on her arm, dried blood at her hairline. She finally spoke. He copies you. He waits until you pick up. I nodded, trying to keep my hands steady. You said there were kids. There were, she whispered. Before you. What happened to them? She looked out the window. They answered too. The waitress came by, set down 2 coffees. When she walked away, the babysitter leaned forward, voice low. He's not a ghost. He's a recording. A memory that never stops playing. Every house that's wired, every call that connects. He's there, waiting. I swallowed. Then why me? You were next on the line. I don't know what made me look up at that moment. Maybe instinct. Maybe the way the light outside flickered. Across the street, through the fog, stood my house. It shouldn't have been there. The diner was miles away. But there it was. Every window dark except one. The attic. And in that window stood the silhouette again. Hand pressed to the glass. The babysitter followed my gaze. Her cup slipped from her hand, coffee spilling across the table. He followed you out. My phone buzzed. Voicemail, one new. I didn't want to hear it, but the sound of the notification wouldn't stop. Finally, I pressed play. You can't leave until someone else picks up. The babysitter's phone buzzed at the same time. She looked at me, eyes wide, terrified. Incoming call. Mr. Carter. I whispered, don't answer. She hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen. The ringing grew louder, echoing through the diner like it was coming from every corner at once. When I reached across the table to stop her, the world flickered. The lights, the sound, everything. And suddenly, I was back in the house. The living room was dark. Dust floated in the air like ash. The babysitter stood by the stairs, phone in her hand, staring at me. You answered, she said quietly. I looked down. My phone was still pressed to my ear. On the other end, my own voice whispered, someone always has to listen. From upstairs came the sound of footsteps again. Slow, heavy. Then a voice, hers this time, faint and distant, drifting down the stairs. The kids are asleep. The attic light flickered on. I didn't need to look to know what waited for me there, because I could feel it now, in my throat, my breath, my heartbeat. He wasn't behind the wall anymore. He was inside. The air inside the house felt heavier than before, thicker, as though it was being shared between 2 sets of lungs, mine and his. Every breath I took came back to me a half-second late, like an echo I couldn't escape. The attic light above flickered in a slow rhythm, steady, deliberate. With each pulse, the stairs creaked, one step at a time, something moving closer. I wanted to run, but my body didn't listen. My fingers wouldn't unclench from the phone. My own reflection in the black screen watched me breathe. Where are you? I whispered. The answer came not from the stairs, but from inside the line. Right here. The voice crawled out of the receiver, layered and warped. My voice. His voice. You're home now. The babysitter stood at the bottom of the stairs, frozen. Her face was pale, her eyes glassy with a kind of terror that looked like recognition. You can't talk to him, she said, her voice shaking. That's what he needs. What does he want? I asked. She stepped closer, whispering. To stay. He needs someone to keep the call going. The light above flickered again. A single step groaned. She's right, the voice said, but it's not me who needs to stay. I looked up. The shape at the top of the stairs was clearer now. He was perfect, not gray, not warped. He looked exactly like me. Same face, same clothes, even the same cut on my palm from earlier. For a heartbeat, it felt like looking into a mirror. Then he smiled. You've done enough running. The babysitter grabbed my wrist. Don't look at him. But I already had. The air snapped like a live wire. The hum that had followed me for days rose in pitch until it was a shriek in my skull. The lights burst one by one. The next thing I knew, the world was dark. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in the upstairs hallway. Alone. The babysitter was gone. The phone in my hand was gone. The air smelled like burnt plastic and ozone. Downstairs, the front door was wide open. A cold wind drifted through the house, carrying with it the faint sound of ringing, distant, endless. I called out, "Hello?" My own voice answered from behind me. "Hello." I turned. He stood inches away, smiling. "You don't need to fight it anymore." I backed away. "You're not real. Neither are you." He moved closer. His steps didn't make sound. The space between us folded in on itself, reality thinning like stretched glass. I could see things moving inside him, faint outlines, shadows of faces flickering beneath his skin, the babysitter's voice, My father's, even the children's laughter from the first call. They were inside him. "You hear them too, don't you?" he whispered. "They never stop. What do you want from me?" "To remember." The lights came back on, all of them, flooding the hallway with colorless white. The walls were covered in photographs. Every single one was of me, staring into the camera, eyes hollow, face expressionless. Each photo was dated the same, 2:46 a.m. The ringing grew louder, filling the air, pulsing like blood through the floorboards. I clamped my hands over my ears, but it didn't help. He stepped closer, reached out and placed his palm against my chest. His skin was cold, but beneath it I could feel my heartbeat syncing with his. "You answered. Now you finish it." "What does that mean?" I gasped. "Someone has to keep the line open." I tried to pull away, but his hand pressed harder. The light flickered again, once, twice, then stayed solid. The hum stopped. Everything went still. When I opened my eyes, the house was quiet again. The air was warm. Sunlight streamed through the windows. For a moment I thought it was over. Then I heard it, faint, from upstairs. A woman's voice. "The kids are asleep." I ran to the stairs. The attic hatch was open again. The ladder hung down, swaying gently. A shadow moved above, small and quick. Then a child's voice said softly, "Mr. Carter?" My throat tightened. I climbed the ladder. The attic smelled of cedar and dust. Light pooled faintly around the old cordless phone lying in the middle of the floor. I picked it up. The screen glowed. Voicemail, one new. I hit play. My voice came through. "It's your turn. They're waiting for you now. Keep the line open." The message ended with a single sound. The same slow click of a rotary dial turning. Once. It's been 3 nights since then. The house is calm, silent, peaceful. Every clock in the house stops at 2:46 a.m. Every mirror shows a shadow that lingers a little too long. The babysitter's car still sits abandoned a few blocks away, doors open, keys in the ignition. Sometimes late at night, the phone rings once. I never answer. But I know one day, someone will. And when they do, I'll be the one calling. The house has learned to breathe again. It exhales in the small hours, a slow sigh that moves through the rafters and the walls, whispering down into the old phone lines buried beneath the floor. The air carries dust and the smell of rain, and sometimes, if you listen carefully, a pulse. Not a sound exactly, but the rhythm of something alive. I've stopped pretending I don't hear it. It's been weeks since anyone's seen me outside. Mom stopped calling after the second week. She said my number rings once and goes straight to voicemail. I've started leaving messages for myself. I don't remember recording them, but I find them queued on the old cordless phone that never dies, no matter how many times I pull the batteries. Each message begins the same way. "Mr. Carter, the kids are asleep." And then my own voice answers. "Good. Keep them quiet." The conversations don't sound like me anymore. They sound older, like I've been here longer than I should. Tonight, the lights are dim, the storm heavy, the power flickers, but the phone glows steadily, its tiny green screen cutting through the dark. I sit at the kitchen table, listening to the rain. The attic door is open again. It always opens before midnight now, like it's waiting for me. The phone buzzes once. One new voicemail. I press play. "You're almost ready." My voice calm and patient. She's on her way. Before I can respond, headlights sweep across the front window. A car stops in the driveway. Through the rain, a figure steps out, a woman, umbrella low, moving carefully toward the porch. The babysitter. She's come back. When she knocks, I don't answer. I just listen. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more. Then her voice through the door. "Mr. Carter, I think you called me again." I look at the phone. It's still in my hand. I hadn't touched it. She knocks once more. "Please, I just want to give you this." I open the door. She stands in the rain, soaked to the bone, holding out something small and rectangular. Another phone. Old, cordless, yellowed with age. "You left it with me," she says. "You told me I'd know when to bring it back." "I didn't." "Yes," she whispers. "You did." She presses the phone into my palm. The plastic hums faintly. The screen lights up. Incoming call. Me. We both stare at it. The attic light flickers once, then, faintly from above, "Don't let it ring out." We move together, slowly, up the stairs. The air gets colder with each step. At the top, the attic door waits, open and black. I climb first. The babysitter follows, her breath trembling behind me. The attic is exactly as it was. The same dust, the same smell, the same faint outline of footsteps in the floorboards. And in the middle of it all, the old rotary phone sits on the ground, perfectly clean, its cord coiling into the shadows. It starts to ring. One tone. Pause. Another. I kneel, staring at it. The babysitter's voice is small. "Don't answer." But I already know what will happen if I don't. Someone always answers. I lift the receiver. The ringing stops. "Hello?" My voice answers back, faint and distant. "Welcome home." The attic light explodes. When I open my eyes, I'm standing at the top of the stairs, watching myself descend. The other me moves slowly, calmly, the phone pressed to his ear. He turns at the bottom, looks up at me and smiles. The kids are asleep. Then he walks out the front door into the rain. The babysitter steps out of the shadows beside me. Her face is calm now, her voice steady. "It's over," she says softly, but I can already hear the faint buzz of a dial tone in my head, deep and endless. I hand her the phone. "You'll know when it's time." She hesitates. "Time for what?" "To call the next one." Downstairs, the house hums to life again. The lines wake, the floorboards shift. The front door closes on its own. The babysitter drives away, the yellow phone on the seat beside her. She doesn't notice when at 2:46 a.m., it lights up by itself. Incoming call. Unknown number. Her hand trembles. She presses, accept. "Hi," a man's voice says gently. "It's me. I just wanted to let you know the kids are asleep." And in the distance, through the quiet hum of rain and static, another voice, mine or his or both, answers softly. "Good. Keep them quiet." The line clicks. The light in the attic goes out. The end.